We work so you can play.
MiniWarGaming's Warhammer Fantasy League Bat Rep.
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here from MiniWarGaming with Luke to bring you another game in the Warhammer Fantasy League. Game 5, 2,500 points. This time it's Brettonians up against the Skaven, because we're going to put the Dark Elves away for a little while until we come back out in the later end of the league when everyone's starting to feel like they're doing good, and then we'll bring them back. But until then, we're doing the just standard pitch battle, mission 1, and we'll show you the armies and we'll get this started.
And here we have the Brettonian Army, 2,500 points, and it is a Prophetess, level 4. We've got Lore of Life, and then we've got a level 2 Lore of Beasts, Damsel. We've got a Paladin BSB. We've got 12 Knights of the Realm with full command, 12 Knights of the Realm with full command, 12 Knights of the Realm with full command, 10 Grail Knights with full command, 42 Peasants with full command, 5 Pegasus Knights with full command, and a Trebuchet. And that is my Brettonian army. So going up against them, we've got the Skaven once again, and they have the Screaming Bell and like 60 some odd rats with a level 4 wizard on top, 39 big rats with the Scree or Squeal or whatever his name is, the special character attachment, Plague Monks with a bunch of other monks, Plague Caster, and a BSB. And then we've got basically the other Hell Pit Abomination, Cannon, and Slaves in the back. So here we are deployed. We basically squared off against each other. Just a usual deployment, facing down the cannon, monks going up against the peasants, and the peasants are going to get annihilated. All these knights are going up against the Screaming Bell, because we got to try and break that bell, and you'll see how hard it is to do that in just a moment, because we're going to go into, I believe, the Skaven had first turn, but here we go. I can try and steal the initiative on a 6. Oh wait, that's right, I'm going to pray, and so we had a little bit of a debate there, and then, yeah. So my army prays, and he basically automatically gets turn 1. And now the Skaven Hell Pit goes a random 3d6 forward. The Hell Pit, or that's the Hell Pit that is. The Bell marches forward with all of its rats off the hill, coming down the hill. The big, huge rats move forward. The Plague Monks march forward. Everyone just kind of moves forward as they do in Fantasy. And it's been divided up essentially into 3 tables here due to the terrain. Magic phase begins. He gets a solid 10. I drink from my goblet to get +1 power dice. He does make a channel. I do not make a channel. And he gets another channel on a 5+, so he's got 12. Trying to cast Wither onto my Grail Knights. It goes off, and I dispel it. Bless of Filth on himself now, and it goes off as well. I let him have that one, so he has poisoned attack. Now he has Plague, trying to cast that onto my Knights as well. Dropping a bunch of dice, and Dispel Scroll. Curse of the Horned Rat on the peasants, because eat it, peasants, and he doesn't get it off, and that's that. So here we go, shooting his cannon now. It's 6 inches in front. Unfortunately, we didn't have an artillery dice, so we had to use the imitation artillery dice, where 1 is 2, 2 is 4, 3 is 6, 4 is 8, and 5 is 10, with 6 being the misfire. But he does shoot, he hits, and he wounds, and he does 6 wounds to my catapult, and that is the end of the trebuchet. So here we go, Brettonian turn. We just declare our charges, and basically I have my whole army charge as Bell. Now what happens is, when I want to charge them, I have to charge them, but I'm -1 to my leadership, and I have to do a leadership check. And if I successfully pass, I have to re-roll the successful pass. But I do have my BSB, so if I fail first, then pass, I can re-roll. But if I pass first and re-roll, I can't re-roll again if I fail afterwards. But anyway, everybody pretty much passes, gets to charge in. So here we go. The Grail Knights are in. These Knights, they actually fail. They needed a 7 to make it. And so they turn and only go 4 inches into the woods, which is terrible, terrible news for them, because they have to go up against all that giant herd of rats. And I am not looking forward to that. And one of them has to do a dangerous terrain, which he promptly fails, and the lady doesn't love him enough to let him live. So 1 knight dies. And these knights coming in now from the other flank, and they make it easy. And then the last group of knights, because originally I wanted all of these to hit all at the same time, because there's enough room for me to get all my bases in there across the frontage, and then just try and crush them in one fell swoop. But it failed, and now I'm going to have to do the long way, where it's going to be a long struggle to kill all these guys. But, I mean, I knew it was coming into that anyway, seeing as he has Unbreakable. And the Pegasus Knights charge the Skaven on the far side, and these peasants just kind of back up, because we don't want to fight with those guys. 3 power dice. He does not channel. I do channel, and I miscast. all my mages take a strength 6 hit, and I get my 5 up ward save against the magic, and then my damsel, she makes her save. So 1 wound to my damsel. And now I'm doing the close combat here as we try and do our, basically what's happening is they cause terror, and then once again, now it's -2 to my leadership, so they're all leadership 6, and I have to roll under 6, and if I roll under 6, they have to re-roll it. If I roll over 6, they can re-roll it, but you only get 1 re-roll. So basically everybody's terrored except for the Grails. The Grail Knights are now attacking. I'm trying to do damage, but he does his swing first, and he kills 2 of my Grails, because I roll Snake Eyes for my armor saves, which really sucks. And the rest of these rats hitting and wounding on 3s against my other unit of Knights, and he fails his save and fails his ward save, so I lose another Knight in the middle. And the last group, he's got 3 of them going against it, and he fails to wound. So here we go, the Grail Knights attack because they are next in line, hitting on 3s because they did pass their fear check, wounding on 2s because they are strength 6 on the charge, and they just kind of crush a big chunk of those little guys. Because that's what Grail Knights do. Grail Knights are awesome. They're just crazy expensive in points. Next unit, they hit on 4s. Unfortunately, they have not done a lot. There are strength 5 on the charge, so they kill another 4 more rats, but they don't do very good as far as hitting is concerned. Then the last group hitting on 5s, and I roll phenomenally well and hit with most of them anyway. And then 2s to wound, they kill another 4 more. Oh, it should have been 5 more, but whatever. Maybe I messed up the numbers right there because there might be a spell going on that's making them tougher. But anyway, he attacks now with the Rat Ochre trying to kill some of my Knights. He hits and does nothing because he rolled a 1. So here goes all the horses hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. Bam, tons of horses, and he's got a 5 up save against this, and he fails them all. So another 4, 5, 6 rats are killed, and the horses from the bad ballistic or weapon skill unit reroll because it wasn't flat on the table. There's 2 wounds, and he fails another one. So yet another rat gets killed, but it doesn't matter. We gotta kill them all. I reform and put most of my Knights into combat. The Pegasus fight it out with these guys, and they hit and do a bunch of wounds. I fail my armor save against his attacks, and then I attack him back, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s because they are charging. And now the Mount's hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, and they do a bunch more wounds. Basically, I'm just kind of trying to do a bit of damage here. He's got huge numbers of ranks, so it's very hard for me to win because he is stubborn. And I did stomp and kill another 4 more, but he does fail his leadership and flee. But I don't catch him. So they run back like 8 or 9 inches, and my Knights just kind of move up 2. And that's that. Skaven turn begins with his giant rats charging into my poor horsemen. His plague monks try and charge my peasants, but they actually fail to charge, so they're just stuck there. And the giant Hell Pit Abomination moves into combat and engages one of my units of Knights, which is terrible because the Hell Pit does actually a lot of damage. So magic phase begins. I do drink from the goblet and not hurt myself, and that's about that. So here we go. He's trying to cast Wither on my unit of Knights again. It goes off on a miscast, so I can't stop it. And he ends up rolling a 4, so a large blast blasts over top of all of his ratmen, and it just annihilates like 5, 10, 15, I think like 16 of them died from the explosion. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, no, 17. 18 of them died, that's it. But his wizard is not sucked into the warp. 1 to 3, he's killed. Oh, reroll. Here we go. On a 4+ he lives. On a 1 to a 3, his wizard dies. And he lives. So the wizard is not killed, and that's that. But he did lose a big chunk of his rats there, so that definitely helps out in the combat. Here we go. We've got the Hell Pit and other guys attacking now. 4+ save because my Knights tried to kill that Hell Pit Abomination, and unfortunately didn't do any damage. Here we go, firing his Warp Lightning Cannon, and it does bounce. Does a wound on a 2 to wound, and he does not. On a 1, he fails to wound. Here we go, the combat. He challenges, and I have to accept because I don't want to lose my blessing. So he tried to go over there and fight him, but it failed. The rat attack missed with both of his attacks. I hit with one of mine, and I don't do a wound. And that's that. So here we go with the main unit here, all the big plague, or all the rats against my unit of Knight guys here. Not the challenge, but they hit on tons of attacks. They all have like regen or something crazy right now. And I lose one of my knights. My knights attack back, hitting a few times, wounding a few times, and then their horses kick, hitting a bunch, and so he's basically got a whole bunch of regens, and they're on a 4+ because he's using the old regen rule. And yeah, I lose combat, but I pass thanks to passing. So here we go. I passed my leadership, so I got to re-roll it, which passed anyway. The next group, I fail, but I get to re-roll thanks to the BSB, which passed. The last group, they fail, but the BSB lets them re-roll, and they fail again. So Grail Knights in the middle unit are full weapon skill, the last unit is not. So the rats attack first, and this is actually the Helpit Abomination. And I lose 3 of my guys right off the bat there, because he does have higher initiative for some reason. It's a giant creature, but humans are slow. The rats then attack. I have 3-up saves against their attacks, and then 6-up ward saves, and I make 1, so I lose another 3 of my Grail Knights, which is brutal. Losing Grail Knights to Skaven is it just makes me sad. Just makes me sad. So here we go, attacking my knights here. He needs 3s to hit because I'm only weapon skill 1 after a little bit of a debate. But he hits with a few and then 3s to wound and does 1 wound, but I make my 3-up armor save. So here we go against the middle group. They need 4s to hit and then 3s to wound, and he only gets 2 wounds, and I failed them both, but I have a 6-up. Ha! And there we go. The lady loved those guys. They get to live. So here we go. My Grail Knights attack back, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, because that's what Grail Knights do. And he fails a bunch more saves. The big guys now owes his impact attacks before. Derp, derp. Now he's attacking his 3d6 attacks. He rolled terribly and did like nothing to those knights, which was great. Here we go, I'm attacking back with my horses, and they do a bunch more wounds, killing off a few more rats. And then the last group of knights, they're attacking as well. Here we go, the sorceress's horse is a little bit different, and everyone else's needs 5s, and then 4s to wound, reroll because it was in that crack, and reroll because it's in that crack. I do 2 more wounds, and it kills another 2 rats. Here we go, my guy's attacking the Helpit Abomination. They do 2 wounds to it, but it does unfortunately make its wounds. So we count them off, and I do win combat, but he is stubborn, and so his Helpit does not break. The Brettonian turn begins with the knights charging in, going after these Skaven once again, and trying to see if we can kill them. I've only got 4 guys who can get into combat, though, unfortunately, because the unit's just too wide. Never mind the fact that these guys are just impossible to rank up next to each other. My peasants move backwards again, trying to keep those Skaven the Plague Monks distracted, and it has been working fairly well. Magic phase. Wisting's Wild Form I did not get, but I did get Throne of Vines, and now he's trying to stop Wild Form, and he does, because he rolls triple. Flush to Stone on the unit as well. It does not go off. I needed a 4+. Here we go, Ratmen versus the Pegasus Knights. The Ratmen attack first, and they do 1 wound, and I fail it, and I fail it. So I lose my Pegasus Knight. He's dead. Here we go, the horses attack, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, and they do 1, 2, 3 wounds. Riders, I should have done that in a different order. But anyway, 3 more wounds, and he fails another 2 more, and then we get our stomps for another 3 more saves, and he's got 6 up against this, I believe, and he fails those as well. So more rats get killed. He loses combat, but he does not flee this time. So once again, Squeal versus my knight. He gets a hit, fails to wound. My guy and his pony attack, because they're all basically the same, hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. 2 wounds, there we go, and he fails both of his saves. And then I reminded him that he does have regen, so we do his regens, but he fails them anyway until he loses his character. The giant rats themselves, they all attack, and they have tons of attacks, but I have a good armor save, and I fail 1, but I fail my blessing. So I lose another knight, but that's okay, because my knights are on they're on the win now. So here goes the knights attacking, hitting on 3s, and the horses on 4s. So you get 3 hits and 3s to wound. We do nothing, or sorry, 4s to wound, and we do nothing. But he loses combat, and he doesn't get his good leadership because his packmaster's dead, so he breaks, and he flees, and we chase him down. He only ran like 3 inches, and so my knights obviously are going to pursue, and we get him. So that's the end of those guys, and my knights now are free. Here we go, leadership. I failed, so I get to reroll thanks to the BSB, which makes me pass. The next group, they pass. I reroll thanks to his ability, and they fail. And the last group, they pass, and then they reroll thanks to his ability, which is a fail. So only the Grail Knights are full blizzard or weapon skill, which has been the case in every round so far. So he attacks with his little rats here. I make my saves. More rats on the other end attacking. They're hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. And does a couple more wounds. Oh, he did get Wither off on my unit. That was on his previous turn there. I don't know how I missed saying that. So they're basically toughness 2, that last group of knights on the right. And he does do another wound. And it lands in the ditch. But I make my save. So here we go. The Grail Knights do all kinds of hits and a bunch of wounds. And he fails all of them. Or all but 3, I think. It's crazy. He lost like a ton of net rats there. Because Grail Knights are amazing. 2 attacks each at strength 4. It's just awesome. Here you go. The Ogre attacking my guys that are weapon skill 1. Getting 1 hit and wounding on 2s because he's strength 5. And he does it, so I have a 4+. Nope, and then I have a 5+. And I don't get it either. Another knight goes down. So here we go. The Hell Pit Abomination gets 3d6 attacks again. And he gets tons of attacks this time. Hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. I have a 5-up save. I make a couple of those, and then 5-up again. And I fail almost all of them. So I lose 6 of my knights. So 4 of them. 5 and 6. Womp womp. Here we go. 5s against him. 1 hit, 1 wound. And he makes his save. And now the rest of them attack, and they do another wound. This is the horses, by the way. And he fails it. So another rat gets killed. And now we're trying to figure out combat res. I ended up winning combat resolution despite his banner that's worth D3 to the combat res. Stubborn 8 on his Hell Pit. And he passes. I reform once again, having 1 combat. Ranking up more knights into the back here. Here we go. Skaven turn. He tries to charge, and he fails his charge yet again. So the Skaven only move up another 2 inches and are still unable to get into combat with my peasants who have been leading them on a nice little trip. Magic phase begins, and I get a channel, and I drink from the chalice, not hurting myself, and he does not get anything. So he's trying to cast Plague onto the middle group once again, and goes off, and I dispel it easily, and that's it for magic, really. He shoots his lightning cannon way across the board, aiming for my knights, misfires, and it shoots in a random direction, but it doesn't hit anybody. It shoots in a line that way, and nobody's there. Here we go. Leadership checks. I fail, and then fail again. I then pass, but I have to reroll because it was successful, which means I fail. And then the knights, they pass, and the Grail Knights are still good, because the Grail Knights are awesome. And now he's attacking with his Skaven guy here, and I make my save. He's like the last clan rat. He finally accepts my challenge with the Grail Knight, because I had to challenge him. And I fail both my saves, and then I have a 5-up. Fail it, so my paladin dies, and I lose my BSB. Here we go. My guy's attacking the surviving rat that is sitting there, and he dies. And that's the end of them. Now attacking the bell. We need 5s to hit and 3s to wound. This is against actually the guy on the bell. And reroll because it wasn't flat. And he fails it. So he loses a wound onto his rat on top of there. Because he has a little critter hanging out on top of the bell. I make 1 of my saves, 2 of my saves, and 5 up against the rat ogre. It kills another one of my knights. And these guys attack the guy on the bell. They do another 2 wounds. He's got another 2 4+. And that is the end of him. So the Skaven wizard on top of the bell has been slain. And I make 1 of my saves against that thing doing initiative attacks. And then they each do d6 hits, and I make 1 of my saves and fail the other one. So another knight is killed, and then he gets more attacks, which tough another 2/6, 2d6. It's just bonkers how many attacks this thing can do. So I make 1 save, and then I've got my ward save, which I fail all but 2. And so there's just my damsel left going up against that monster. And now my guys are trying to kill the bell, doing a few more attacks. 5s to wound. They don't do anything. And trying to run away now. My damsel's trying to escape from that Hell Pit Abomination, and she failed. So she gets overrun, and the Hell Pit Abomination moves on. Now moving into my flank, because he can move in any direction. Bad news for me. Skaven turn begins. We're doing the, during this turn, we're now fighting over by the knights versus the clan rats on the far side of the board. And I've got a bunch of saves to make, and I fail a bunch, but I make a couple of my ward save. Or rather, I'm attacking and trying to kill a bit. But anyway, stomp for 3 more. And he's got to make 3 more saves, and he fails them. So 3 more of his little knights or little rats go down. So he loses combat again. And he passes, so he stays in there. Brettonian turn begins with the knights charging into the flank of the Screaming Bell, just like that. So he moved up, wheeled, and then moved right in. Here we go, the peasants doing what they do and just baiting these plague monks all over the board. Because as it stands, it's been working pretty well. I only get 3 power dice, but I do get a channel, and he does not get his channel. And so I cast Shield of Thorns, which goes off, and Throne of Vine, or a +4 to my armor anyway. +4 to my toughness, that's it. And now I'm doing my Shield of Thorns hitting against his bell, which does a wound despite his magic resistance, making him have a 2-up ward save against it. So here we go, leadership check against the Grail Knights. They fail, they pass, and then they pass again anyway. Now against the Knights on the other side, they pass, so they have to re-roll it, so they then fail. And now the guys who charged, they pass, and they have to re-roll it because they passed, which makes them fail. So they're all weapon skill 1. Here we go. Forced to hit, miss, miss. Come on, hit the knot in the crack. There we go. And he fails. So here he goes, my Grail Knight trying to kill this BSB, and he fails to do anything. Here we go, my Grail Knights attacking. They don't do any wounds. Here goes the Ogre against my regular unit of Knights here. They're only toughness 2. And they fail their saves, but they have a 5-up board, and they pass one of those, so 1 Knight dies, and that's that for him. Here we go, the Knights attacking back. They get a few hits and no wounds. The Knights who charge, they have a bunch of attacks, hitting on 5s, wounding on 4s. Yeah, and they do 2 wounds, but he makes both of those saves as well. Their horses attacking. Re-rolling that one because it wasn't flat, and we do 1 wound with the horse, and he actually takes a wound. So here he goes, the plague or the Clan Rats against the Pegasus Knights once again. Clan Rats attack, and I fail one of my saves. I have a 6-up, and I fail it, so I take a wound on another Pegasus. The Pegasus Knights attack, and their riders are going to attack, and trying to kill a few of these guys, but he does make his fail at 2 more of his saves. The horses then attack, getting a bunch of hits and a bunch of wounds. And he fails some more saves, and then I've got Stomp for some more, and I finally kill 2 more, but he does have a save against these, which he fails. And so he's finally not stubborn, and so he needs like Snake Eyes to stay, and he fails his Snake Eyes, and they overrun, and that is the end of these filthy rats. In hindsight, I should not have overrun. I should have just let them run off the board. But I was committed to it, and I was in a little bit of a bloodlust. Skaven turn begins. The rats finally fail their charge again. But he doesn't really have a choice. He has to keep doing it. But now he gets the Hell Pit Abomination, who moves facing me, moving 3d6, and whomp, hits me right in the back. And so he's got a Hell Pit in the back of that unit. Here we go. Magic phase. I do not channel, and I do drink from the chalice, so I get another Dispel dice. And I Dispel. Whomp. So no Curse of the Horned Rat. And now firing the Lightning Cannon directly in front of those guys. It bounces, and then misfires, so nothing happens. Whomp. Here we go. Leadership fail or pass, and then reroll makes me pass again, and pass again, pass, and pass again. Then he gets his impact attacks. Now remember, in just a moment, we're gonna do this is the that was the Shield of Thorns hitting him because we had forgotten about it, and it does do a wound to him. And against the bell, it does 2d6, and it gets 2 wounds against the bell. It has a 2+ save. Reroll because it wasn't flat. And it's okay. We kept pushing that against the wall. You can see it's flat now, and then for some reason it just kept flying back out. And there we go. We get a couple saves, only losing 1 of my knights against his impact attacks. The challenge begins between his banner and my random Grail Knight. Banner guy attacks, does 1 hit and no wounds. My Grail Knight hits with both and does nothing. The rest of the Grail Knights attack the bell, doing 2 wounds and doing 1 wound. He actually fails 1 of his saves, so he's down to 3. The Rat Ogres attacking the other guys on the right there, and he hits with 2 of them, wounding on 2s. He actually does 1 wound, and I have a 4+, which I make. What does the Rat Ogre do, or the Hell Pit do? 3d6 attacks, and he does terrible. He only gets 4, and then he hits with 2, and then wounds with 1. 5+, 5+, and I fail. So I lose another 1 of my knights, but that's okay. So here we go. My other knights attacking, hitting on 3s, wounding on 6s, and they get 1 wound, and the bell makes it save. Here we go. The horses now getting their attacks. This is the last group here, needing 6s to hurt the bell, and they actually get triple 6s and do 2 wounds to the bell, putting it down to 1 wound left. I just want it dead because they're unbreakable, and it sucks. My guys attacking the Hell Pit Abomination, they actually do nothing. But he passes his leadership, so he doesn't lose, despite me winning combat. The knights line up because they're going to charge that cannon on the following turn. The peasants continue to flee, trying to set it up for me to win later, or just stalling, really. Power dice, I get 5, he gets 3. I don't channel, he doesn't channel. And I cast Throne of Vines on myself, which goes off, barely. And I do get my Shield of Thorns, which does 5 hits and 4 hits against the bell. 5s to wound against the Hell Pit, doing 1 wound. He's got to make a 4+. He fails it, so he goes down another wound. And against the bell, we do a few wounds. He's got a 2+ save, though, against it. And here we go. Never mind. Didn't do any wounds. Leadership checks, fail, reroll. Or sorry, pass to fail. And then the other guys, they pass, reroll because of the bell, and they fail. So everybody failed this round. Here we go, hitting my guy with his BSB. He gets 1 hit and wounding on 3s. He does a wound, but I fail, and I fail again. So he kills another Grail Knight with his BSB. These guys now attacking the bell, getting another wound against the bell. Another 4+, and it lives again. It only has 1 wound left, but I just can't do it. So here we go, 3d6 attacks from the Hell Pit Abomination. He gets a bunch more attacks, and he's hitting on 3s, but he rolled pretty bad there, and then rolled even worse for wounding, and I do make my armor. So here we go, the Rat Ogre attacking the Grail Knights, and he gets 2 hits and 2 wounds. Here we go, I've got to try and make 4+, fail, 5+, pass, so my Grail Knight lives. Here we go, the last group of horses all attacking, and they do 1 wound, and he's got 1 4+, and the horses reroll because it's in that crack. That stupid, see, like we push it again and it doesn't matter. But he dies. The bell is dead. The bell is dead. But he still has his BSB who's sitting there in that little spot. 1 hit and no wound against the Hell Pit, but he then has to start doing some leadership checks, but he failed it. Reroll thanks to the BSB, which keeps him there. And now these guys are overrunning against that guy because they're not engaged with the Hell Pit. It's only the other unit is. So these guys overrun, wiping out the last of the rats in that giant unit. And it's just great to see. It just made me feel good right there, getting that bell dead. And once again, he's charging, and he finally makes that charge with the Plague Monks, making it to the poor peasants who have been terrified and running away the entire game. Magic phase, I do not drink, or I try and drink from the chalice, but I end up wounding myself, and that's that. But channeling attempts, I do actually get my channel, despite that. And now he tries to cast Contagion, I think it is, on them. And it doesn't go off. And then he tries to do Plague Breath, which also does not go off because I'm level 4 and he's only level 2. And now he shoots his Warp Lightning Cannon at my knights, which bounces and wounds, and hitting 3 of them. I do fail one of my saves, so one of my knights gets killed. There we go. And now we remember the Shield of Thorns does yet another wound, putting him down to 2. So right now the Shield of Thorns have done almost all of his wounds. Here we go, the Hell Pit gets 3d6 attacks. He gets tons of attacks this time. It's just ridiculous. But he's he needs 5s to hit, but he's 2s to wound. But I make all but one of my save, and I failed my Lady Luck. So there we go. I attack back, 5s to hit, 6s to wound. Nothing. But he still loses combat and stays. Here we go, the Skaven now. He's got the Plague Monks, and they're attacking. They're using their banner that lets them reroll to hit and to wound. And then we reroll that he gets to... We remember afterwards that he gets to reroll. And so he's rerolling, and... Bam. And then reroll those because of the banner, because he rerolls to wound. So 3 peasants die. 2 peasants die. Peasants die. Peasants start dying in droves. I attack him. He let me do my roll first, because who knows, maybe I'll do good. But they killed like 10 of them. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. But then he attacks back, hitting on 3s, re-rolling to hit, wounding on 3s, re-rolling to wound, maybe 4s to wound. Either way, it was bonkers. It was like dice roll, dice roll, dice roll, and I had that many 5-up saves to make. So 5, 10, 15, 16. So I lose by 16, and they fail their leadership of Snake Eyes. He pursues, I flee. They didn't even make it to the edge of the board. They rolled Snake Eyes and died. So they got wiped out, and the Plague Monks overran them right up to there. Here we go. The Throne of Vines goes off. We forgot about it again. And he fails another save, and he's down to 1. Fear test. I passed my fear, or I failed my fear check, and we're in scary fighting again. Because I don't know how we missed that. But my Pegasus Knights in the Brettonian turn charge in against the Warp Lightning Cannon. These Knights just kind of do a command check and turn around and then march over to here. And I'm just smoking the models at this point. Magic phase, I keep Shield of Thorns up, and I also put on some +4 to their toughness. And 2d6 magic attacks, and I do 2 more wounds against the Hell Pit, and he's got a 4+. And he fails it. So the Hell Pit is gonna die. Here we go, he's gotta make a whole bunch of regens here, because he tried to dispel it at the very end. So the Hell Pit dies, but it could come back. Those guys kill that, and we call the game because we rolled off and the Hell Pit did not come back. So he's got the Plague Monks. They're alive, but I've got my Grail Knights, my Sorceress, my other unit of Knights, my other unit of Knights, and my other unit of Knights. So unfortunately, it is a, well, fortunately, I guess, for me, it is a Brettonian victory. Leave a comment if you see anything that's wrong. Unfortunately, there is no poster pregame because it's very loud at Black Knight at this point. As you can see, there's tons of people around in the background. But it was certainly a good game. Luke and I had a lot of fun. Stay tuned for more games from the Warhammer Fantasy League. Happy wargaming.